Like a blade of corn, like a honeybee, like a waterfall, all a part of me, like the color purple. Where do it come from? Open up your eyes, look what God has done.
Dana Geraye Dantzler follows in the footsteps of Oscar winner Whoopi Goldberg and Broadway star LaChanze, both of whom have portrayed the main character Celie in The Color Purple. Previews writer Jennifer Pensick speaks with Dantzler about her experience portraying Celie in the national touring production of the musical. Dantzler also discusses what she's learned from the Goldberg and LaChanze performances. In addition, Dantzler talks about the universal appeal of The Color Purple.
As Celie, you're following in the footsteps of kind of Whoopi Goldberg, who is Celie in the 1985 film, and of LaChanze, who won the Tony in 2005 for the Broadway production. Do you ever feel pressure to kind of measure up to those who played the role before you? How, I guess, do you bring your own sense of individuality to the role?
Well, everyone is very different from each other. So what I do is I try not to work myself up too much to be like them, but to learn from what they did and to take from them, but then to make Celie my own.
What's it like playing her?
It's just an honor to be, one of the Celies, to be a part of this legacy in the first place. And so what I do is I just try and play each moment as honestly and as truthfully as I can.
What do you think seems to attract audiences to the stage version of it?
Well, I think people are curious as to how they would take such a story and make it a musical. And of course, it's a classic. The story has been told since 1982. I think what draws people is it is a beautiful story, and it's just a wonderful tale. It's wonderful how she's able to transform herself and overcome adversity, and I think it's just something that everyone can relate to, because the story just deals with the themes from the human spirit, the human experience, I should say. So I think people can relate to it just because they have to deal with some of these circumstances in their own lives, not necessarily the amount of abuse or anything pretty much that Celie has to go through, but the fact that she still has to forgive and love and things like redemption as something that we all have to deal with in our lives. So it's a very relatable story.
How do you kind of prepare yourself to take on a role like Celie, and how, I guess, have other cast members been getting ready for the tour and being on tour?
Well, we try and get as much rest as we can. And try and stay healthy. As you can tell, I have a little bit of the sniffles right now. A constant warm up and focus. And we all realize that we've been blessed with this wonderful opportunity to tell this incredible story. And so we just do our best to tell it as clear and as truthfully as we can, so that maybe someone can walk away and share love the way that we are sharing love to them.
Tickets are on sale for 2 performances of The Color Purple, March 22nd and 23rd, 2011 at Eisenhower Auditorium. Order online at www.cpa.psu.edu or by phone at 1-800-ARTS-TIX.